Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some more Ryzeal Mitsurugi post-ban list this time, so we're only on one copy of Prayers. This is being uploaded after the ban list has gone into effect, but these games were played before it went into effect. So I just built the list with only one Prayers in it. We're going to show that off towards the end of the video. Our first opponent is actually going to be a little bit of a mirror match. They're on Fiendsmith Mitsurugi as opposed to Ryzeal. I think Ryzeal Mitsurugi is still probably just the best variant of the deck post-ban list because of how much the engine, the Ryzeal engine really adds. Don't get me wrong, the Fiendsmith engine does pull its own weight as well, but where I think the deck really shines is, especially in a world where Prayers is only at 1, is when it has the ability to go into a really deep bag of extra deck options. And as far as rank 4s go, you know, there's a ton that we can access here, but after Ash Blossoming their Requiem, it looks like they're going to normal summon a Night Sword Serpent and then link it away with the Engraver. Night Sword Serpent is a card that I'm not a huge fan of in Mitsurugi anymore. The free level 4 body is nice, but at the end of the day, it just ends up being unnecessary. And I think pretty much any variant, and even Ryzeal, where you would kind of want it the most to make more rank 4s, you still have more than enough push without it. And it really just ends up being a brick a lot of the time. Like in my opponent having it in their hand here. Alright, so it looks like they're going to make Desiree, set a card, and then pass back over to us. So if we remove the Desiree, it's going to send one of our cards in the field to the graveyard. Worth noting, we're going to start with pre-prep here, seeing what they'll let us get away with as far as, you know, searching and playing cards before they negate with Desiree. Habakiri for Saji. Saji's going to grab our 1 Prayers. We're going to go for Mitsurugi Ritual, and that's where they're going to activate Fiendsmith's Desiree, which I kind of figured was probably going to happen. That's why I wanted to pre-prep, not only, of course, to add Habakiri, but also the Mirror as well. We're going to tribute the Habakiri that's in our hand to Ritual Summon the Murakumo that's in our hand as well. Okay, now here I'm going to go Chain Link 1 Habakiri, Chain Link 2 Murakumo. My opponent's actually going to chain Imperm, which I was planning on chaining the Prayers to Desiree's effect to send. However, this works out as well, because now not only do I not have to worry about Desiree's send effect, but also we can dodge the Imperm with Prayers here too. And upon that, my opponent's going to immediately end up conceding. Actually, now that I think about it, Desiree's effect will be on the next Chain Link after... No, because we revive something else and then Murakumo revives on the next Chain Link. Right, of course, yeah. If I had revived Murakumo directly with Prayers, then Desiree could have sent it on the next Chain Link. However, if you wait until after Prayers is resolved, Desiree would have nothing on field to send, or I guess it would have whatever else you summon, and then Murakumo would revive, meaning that it would be spared from Desiree's effect. Okay, so there's that first game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one here. Okay, this duel is going to be up against Dracotail, and this is actually one of the better back and forth games I've had in a while. You know, I gotta say, even before this new ban list came into effect, I actually like the meta we're in. I feel like there's a lot of nice balance happening as far as, you know, the top like 5 or so decks, none of them really feeling significantly stronger than the other. So like I said, we're going to be up against Dracotail here. They're going to lead with Perulia. So I'm thinking to myself, of course, we want to keep the number of summons from hand at a minimum. I'm going to try to only summon once, maybe twice, depending on what our end board is going to end up looking like. We'll definitely summon the Murakumo from hand here. And the reason I added Habakiri, by the way, even though I already had one in hand, was to keep the Futsuno Mitama in deck. So that way we could summon it off of the Ritual here. Just going to add another Murakumo here for the same reason. Alright, Ritual's going to get added back. We're going to tribute the Habakiri from our hand. That way we can use Mirror in order to revive it. Alright, so there's the Futsuno Mitama from deck. Habakiri gets to activate. We're going to add Prayers. Then we can go Mitsurugi Mirror. Tribute the Futsuno Mitama in order to revive the Habakiri. Now, this is a scenario where the limiting of Prayers actually does kind of come up. Because normally I would be looking to use Prayers to tribute Murakumo, get a level 4 body on board, get a search, and then revive, get another search. And with the Murakumo search, you could even just grab another copy of Prayers, again, if it were at more than 1. But now you do have to kind of like, I guess, not be the most greedy and do absolutely everything. But anyway, here we're going to make the Dragolucian, add the 7th Tachyon, link into IP Masquerena first. It's fine if our Murakumo sits in the graveyard, of course, because we have the prayers to revive it. So here we're going to add the Ice Ryzeal and go for the effect. But unfortunately, it looks like they drew Fuelos off of that draw that they got from the normal summon of Ice Ryzeal from Perulia. So now we're in a little bit more of a bind. I was just going to go like full Ryzeal plays from here, but now we're in a scenario where I'm not really looking to summon that much more. I'll give them 2 more draws. 2 draws total for the Fuelos, right? 1 from Ice Ryzeal's effect and then 1 from Detonator. Now during the end of main phase, we're going to go for 5 mana, fusing Orgola and Malulu. Obviously this is not ideal, but it's not necessarily the end of the world either. They can make Golemel, but it's not really going to do a lot here because I can simply chain Detonator, detach, and pop Golemel. That'll not only get it off the field, but also it means that Golemel can't use its Destroy a Card effect here. So they're going to use Orgola to set Rahu, and they end up popping my Great Purification, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. It's also low-key why I set Great Purification and then Prayers. I have noticed, not just in my time playing Master Duel, but in playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG for like well over a decade beforehand as well, if players are going to destroy one of your face-down cards, 80% of the time, I swear to God this is true, 80% of the time they go after the first one you set. So I'll always set the least important one first, and then, you know, whichever other cards I actually don't want them to destroy. It's not like something that you could, you know, say with 100% certainty will happen every single time that way, but in my personal experience, like I said, it feels like 80% of the time they go after the first one you set. Anyway. They're going to make an Arthelion here, add a bunch of stuff back, set a bunch of cards. Things might not look super great for us, but they're actually not as bad as they look. I can use the Futsu no Mitama to revive the Murakumo here. However, something that's going to be pretty noteworthy is I'm not going to activate the board wipe effect. Because if I did it right now, all I would destroy is a single Arthelion that can just come back later when they fusion summon. I want to use Murakumo later when they have, you know, all of their monsters on board and they're going to try to OTK. And since we have prayers set, we can do that. So they get to add their stuff back. They negated our Futsu no Mitama with the Malulu. We're going to fire off the Murakumo negate/discard effect here just to get it out of the way. They're going to end up discarding a spare copy of Ketu, but they can set, I think they already have set another copy. Yeah, it's right there, so. Gonna let them add Orgola and then fuse Orgola plus Pan. And that's gonna make another Arthelion. Now I know they're running out of things to do, and I'm actually really glad to see that Arthelion. Golemel gets to revive here, Pan is gonna activate as well as Orgola. So this is the moment where I have to chain prayers. Because if I don't chain prayers, they're just gonna pop my Murakumo plus face down and then I just lose. So we're gonna chain prayers here, both effects, add Aramasa, reviving Habakiri from deck. Again, you don't want to revive Murakumo in this scenario because Dracotail, not with the prayers anyway, because Dracotail Pan's effect is still on the chain link. If I revived Murakumo, Pan would destroy it and I wouldn't get a chance to activate its effect to destroy all cards. That's why I revived Habakiri instead, which still threatens our opponent's board by dropping all of their attack points. And then on the next chain link, after Pan has already resolved, then we'll revive Murakumo. So yeah, there's Pan setting Rahu. Sure enough, it's going to pop the Habakiri. Golemel gets to revive. And then here's Murakumo's effect to revive. We can even chain block with Mirror. And I'll even throw another chain block on the negated Futsu no Mitama. This monster's effect might be negated, but I can still put it on the chain link. Now here my opponent's going to chain 5 mana as a means of activating Golemel to pop Futsu no Mitama. But I think that was a pretty big misplay, in my opinion. Well, I guess I don't know what else they have in hand. Maybe they need to fuse with stuff on board, but if they have the ability to fusion summon a monster from hand, I think they really should have saved the 5 mana for after the Murakumo board wipe. But it looks like 5 mana is just going to fuse 2 monsters on the board, so maybe they didn't have anything left in hand. They're going to go for Mysterian the Dragon Crown, which is going to get to banish the Murakumo when it revives, but it only banishes, it doesn't negate the summon or the effect of the monster it banishes. Meaning that I still get to destroy all monsters my opponent controls. Alright, there goes their board. As far as their face-down cards, We know this one is Flame, and then the rest are just more copies of like Rahu and Ketu they can't use this turn. Alright, now Pan gets to revive Orgola while Arthelion revives itself. However, this is not lethal, and I know they can't get lethal anymore because they've already activated basically all of their Dracotail effects, right? They've used all their spells, they've used all of their monster effects. I think the Malulu onboard fusion effect is the only one they didn't end up using. Okay, so here, as long as I have an open board state, there's no reason not to throw out Purlia and Fuelos. Now, what I'm going to do during my main phase, I'm actually going to lead with X Ryzeal, and X Ryzeal is actually going to send Valen, the Super Size Skyblaster. This is the exact kind of scenario that you want this card in your extra deck for. Now, I can destroy one of these face down cards. I don't have to do any guesswork, because I know this one's Flame for my opponent's turn. I know this is the one they set from hand, so it's probably Sting, because Horn should already be in the graveyard. Yes, right here. And I know these three are just normal spells that don't do anything right now. I'm even going to chain block the Valen because I care about that effect way more than the X search. They're going to chain Dracotail Sting, and I'm going to throw out the Ash Blossom just to deny them the draw, and of course keep my stuff in the graveyard. And they're going to concede afterward. So, like I said, that was definitely one of the better, like, more back and forth games I've played in recent memory. Very, very well played. GG's Chief Big Dog is our opponent here. But yeah, definitely wanted to show you that one. Let's head into our next replay. Alright, this one's going to be a going second game against K9 Vanquish Soul. Interesting that the K9 engine wasn't hit on the ban list. It was only Vanquish Soul losing a single copy of Sacred Soul. Although, to be fair, we didn't really see K9 in the Duelist Cup at all outside of Vanquish Soul, did we? Anyway, they're going to lead with Normal Summon Izuna here, so I'm going to fire off a D-Shifter, reasoning that they had already Normal Summoned the Izuna, but of course they just happen to have a second copy in hand, so a little bit unlucky for me. I thought that I was maybe going to get to stop their plays here. But they're going to end up banishing a copy of Noroi before using Triple Tack to look at my hand and put back a card. Ultimately choosing to put back the Saji, which I mean, I guess it depends on what else is in their hand. I would think that putting back Sword Ryzeal would be the best thing here, because Saji, I don't think it really does anything by itself. I guess I do have the Magatama to Ritual Summon, but I'm trying to think, like, what would I do? Normal Summon Saji, add Prayers for Habakiri, Habakiri for Aramasa, Aramasa for Murakumo, then I could use Magatama to Ritual Summon. I guess what my opponent was afraid of. But at the same time, Normal Summoning Sword Ryzeal is definitely going to be full combo for me as well. Okay, they're going to make a rank 5 here. It's going to be the Nosh Knight. And they're just going to pass to me afterward. Makes sense. Okay, drawing for turn, we're fighting Droll and Lockbird. Not ideal. I'm going to have to normal summon Sword Ryzeal. They're going to activate the Nosh Knight effect. Now, I am put in a little bit of an awkward position by my own Dimension Shifter, because now I can't really use Ice or X Ryzeal. Dimension Shifter is a really powerful hand trap that I do like playing in this deck. However, the caveat that it does kind of conflict a little bit with, again, Ice and X Ryzeal. The Mitsurugi engine doesn't really care about D-Shifter that much at all. You definitely still just end up being able to summon back your banished, ritual monsters as long as they were attributed from the field, and the Kusanagi can add back banished cards. Anyway, here I'm going to triple tack for the draw too, trying to find like a Habakiri or something, but they're going to triple tack, or they're going to Ash Blossom my triple tack rather, so no luck there. I decided to just pass, reasoning that it might not be that likely they have plays. They're going to overlay the Nosh Knight into the CXC's Nosh Knight, and it looks like they're going to detach and then activate to go into the 104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. So now, of course, if I try to activate a monster effect on board, they get to have my life points and discard a card on top of negating it. Certainly not ideal. And our top deck Ash Blossom doesn't do a ton here, so I'm just going to pass, because I know the CXC's Nosh Knight only has the monster on the board for, until the end of the opponent's turn, right? Yeah, destroy it during your opponent's next end phase. So I know they didn't have plays with these two cards last turn. The only thing they added is this, and anything that would get them plays will probably search, and I can stop with Ash Blossom. So I'm fine just passing here, and sure enough, they are just going to set one face down card before passing back over to me. And knowing that I have Ice Ryzeal in hand, and I guess you're admitting they don't have an out to it, they're going to end up conceding. Of course, we would have normal summoned Ice Ryzeal, special summoned Sword was already gone, so probably just X'd Ryzeal, which would have added Node, and then you could overlay the King of Feral Imps and go into plays from there. And this final duel is going to be us going first against Sky Striker Tenpai. Now, I didn't know that it was Sky Striker Tenpai when I won the coin flip. I mean, I don't know. I gotta be honest, even if I knew it was Tenpai and I won the coin flip, with a lot of decks, I'd probably just go first anyway. Like, there are a lot of end boards in 2026 Yu-Gi-Oh! That I think can reasonably stop anything, like any amount of board breakers Tenpai could throw at you. Not every single time, of course. There's stuff like Droplet or the Gordian Slicer or whatever it's called that are like unrespondable and super poly, but anyway. So here, I'm going to lead with the Ryzeal into King of the Feral Imps line. I could have thrown out the D-Shifter here, but at the same time, I don't know. It would have conflicted with my plays. Actually, would it have that much? Let's look at our opening hand again. D-Shifter, Sword, 7th Tachyon. And we 7th Tachyoned for Ice Ryzeal. Yeah, I mean, if we're already using Ice Ryzeal to summon X from deck, then I think that we could have just thrown out the D-Shifter first. That's a hand. This is a hand where I definitely should have done that. There are some hands where, again, it will conflict. Like if I had opened X Ryzeal, right, or even just Sword and nothing else, then I would not have thrown out D-Shifter. If I had to go normal summon Sword, add X. But yeah, here I definitely should have. So, little misplan on my part. But we're just continuing to ritual summon here, going for the Murakumo, tributing the Futsuno Mitama. Futsuno Mitama gets to activate here, adding prayers. Again, prayers limiting actually does kind of matter here, because if it wasn't limited, I would definitely activate prayers, tribute the Murakumo, which I believe has not used its third effect yet. Yeah, it's not used its third effect yet. Then I could have gotten an extra body on board and a monster search, and then just added another copy of prayers with the Murakumo. But obviously, again, it can't do that here. Okay, after making my rank 8, we're going to go for our Ryzeal plays. We're even going to work in a Dugaris. I love getting to do this with the Ryzeal engine. The mid-combo Dugaris to find some more hand traps. We'll just get rid of this D-Shifter that's definitely no longer alive. And then we'll wrap up with the Detonator. Don't get to attach Aggregator here because X was summoned by Ice Ryzeal and not by its own effect, but still a pretty respectable end board. Got Detonator, Monster Negate, Murakumo, Prayers, Joel, Maxi. Opponent's gonna throw out Into the Void. I immediately knew it had to be either Sky Striker or some like weird FTK deck, and I knew that Joel and Lockbird was gonna stop it no matter what. Sure enough, they end up conceding, and that is that. So why don't we go ahead and take a look now at our post-ban list deck list for Ryzeal Mitsurugi. Okay, so this is my current deck list for Ryzeal Mitsurugi. Again, I'm recording and playing these games before Prayers actually goes to 1, but this is definitely the deck list as I will be playing it post-ban list as well. Relatively similar to how I've been playing the deck before and how the deck has been played before. We're on the slightly more extended Ryzeal package with the playset of Ice Ryzeal. In the past, it was a little bit more common to only play a single copy of Ice Ryzeal, and some builds didn't play like Node or Duo Drive at all. But I think moving forward, the expanded Ryzeal package is definitely looking a lot better. I also added Eclipse Twins, which didn't really come up during the games I played today, but I have had games in the past where I thought to myself that Eclipse Twins would be a nice card to have. As always, plays really well with Detonator, allowing you to like have Detonator pop itself to get around like an Imperm or something, and then Eclipse Twins effect just reviving it with more materials. Dimension Shifter is another pretty notable addition, which there's really no reason for me to have not been playing this card before. I guess, like I said before, it does conflict pretty heavily with X Ryzeal. It also conflicts with the first effect of Ice Ryzeal. However, as far as the Mitsurugi engine goes, Dimension Shifter doesn't conflict at all, because if you read all of the Mitsurugi monsters effects, they just say, if this card is tributed, you add a Mitsurugi card, then special summon this card, period. It doesn't say special summon this card from the graveyard, it just says special summon it. And again, the Kusanagi can add cards back that are in the graveyard or banishment. So as far as your Mitsurugi plays go, really the only thing that Dimension Shifter affects is whether or not a monster is in the graveyard for prayers. But at the same time, if you have Prayers plus Murakumo while D-Shifter is live going into your opponent's turn, that's also still just fine, because you can distribute Prayers off of Murakumo. Yeah, it'll get banished and you won't revive anything from the graveyard, but Murakumo can still revive off of its own effect. So, like I said, Dimension Shifter actually doesn't really end up conflicting much with Mitsurugi at all. With the addition of 7th Tachyon, we're also once again playing the Dragolucian in the extra deck. This package is entirely optional. You definitely do not have to play any amount of these cards. You can also just play a 7th Tachyon without the Dragolucian if you don't own this extra deck monster in particular. Although if you are playing the 7th Tachyon, there is kinda no reason not to play this card if you already own it, because of how easy it is to make a rank 8 and then pivot from Mitsurugi into Ryzeal plays. Of course, you can do that by making a rank 4 using Duo Drive as well, but this is just another alternative for it. You could also, of course, add more copies of 7th Tachyon if you want to see the Ryzeal cards more often. Playing up to 3 I think is fine, but we already have a lot of searchers in this deck, especially with the 3 pre-prep, and I like having some tools like Triple Tack and the Magatama really help, especially going second and trying to like break boards and stuff. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much all the thoughts I have about this list for now. Thank you, as always, for watching all the way to the end. Why don't we go ahead and move now to our outro, where we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers.